Democratic Congressman Marc Veasey of Fort Worth. Thank you so much, and welcome back to Eye on
Great
Politics.
to see you, Jack.
Good to see you. So, your reaction to the 8 Senate Democrats who voted with Republicans to reopen the government, and how will that impact your vote when it comes back to the House?
Yeah, the big thing for everybody to remember out there was that, the 90 plus percent of Democrats are going to vote against this. And so I want to keep that 100% clear. I wasn't happy with their vote, but they made their vote. And I'm not trusting that, honestly, that the president or Mike Johnson will ever give us an up and down vote when it comes to extending ACA premium tax credits. I just don't think so, and it's really unfortunate that they don't value the health care of individuals more than to play these type of games. I think that it's terrible that happened. We should have never had a shutdown, and people's health care should have never been jeopardized to the level that it is now.
I'll get back to healthcare in just a minute.
Yeah.
But now that the Senate Democrats did join Republicans to reopen the government, why vote against it?
Because to me, a lot of this is contingent on Johnson giving us a future vote when it comes to extending ACA tax credits, which I don't think that he's going to do. And then also, it's like asking me to literally trust the same people that decided that they were going to snatch Medicaid from the off of the backs of millions of people that live just in our state alone. If you think about the sheer number of people in Texas that are on Medicaid. And so the same people that are shutting down hospitals, shutting down nursing homes, you think I'm going to trust them now when it comes to a future vote on ACA premium tax credits? No, I absolutely do not. And so I think that this is a bad deal. And again, it should have never gotten this far. There was no need for it to.
What do you say to union members, government employees, SNAP recipients? What do you say to them? I know the AFG local, the American Federation of Government Employees local president, basically said that, they have been used as pawns in all this. They haven't gotten paid. And so any future delay in reopening the government impacts these folks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you just want to look at this on a micro level, which I think is very important for all of us that live in North Texas, we have over 100,000 federal employees, whether they print money, work at FAA regional office, our post offices, the air traffic controllers, obviously. Like we have literally over 100,000 government employees. I think that we're the second or third highest behind the Virginia, Maryland, DC area when it comes to federal employees. And those people spend money in our local economy. And so if they're not working, it hurts all of us. It doesn't matter if you have a government job or not. If they're not working, it is going to impact all of us here locally and ultimately in the state of Texas. And I don't want anyone to ever miss a check. I think that what, for instance, Elon Musk was doing earlier this year when it came to Doge, that was terrible. They were just laying off people randomly and it was all being done in a very uncoordinated and unsophisticated way when they were doing that whole Doge scheme. And so, again, almost like the same thing that I was saying when it comes to healthcare. I'm not going to trust the people to look out for government employees that was literally dogging them out when it came to Doge. If you turn on any talk radio show here in DFW, any Republican talk radio show, Republicans are just always just saying terrible things about these hardworking employees, and it's Democrats that have always looked out for federal employees in North Texas and around the country, and not Republicans. So you absolutely cannot trust them.
Let me ask you before we get to healthcare one other question, and that
Yeah.
is this new bill funds the government through the end of January if it's approved by the House. And I'm wondering what is there to prevent another government shutdown at the end of January?
Nothing. Yeah, there's nothing there in place. I mean, we could certainly be looking at another shutdown, and as incompetent as this president is, and the reckless radical Republicans that instead of being a check on his administration, which the Constitution says the legislative branch should be, they've just become very servile and subservient to Trump. And so there is no guarantee that we won't have another shutdown. And that's really the problem when it comes to funding the government through what we call a CR, a continuing resolution. We should pass a budget. We should pass an appropriations bill that keeps the government open, that everybody agrees on, and everyone has some buy-in on. That's the way how the process has always worked, and that's the way it should continue to work.
And to the healthcare point, I know obviously the Democrats have really been pushing to extend the enhanced tax credits
Right.
for the Affordable Care Act. This was passed in 2022. And when the Democrats passed it, and they did it by themselves, no Republicans joined in, the Democrats made it the decision to do this only temporarily instead of making this permanent. You had the votes to make it permanent back then. Why didn't you?
I don't recall exactly, what happened around that in 2022, but the important thing was that we were never going or intended for those tax credits to expire. They're too important. For those of us that live in this area that work at one of our larger employees, whether it's in defense contracting or one of the airlines, whatever it may happen to be, that's great if you work in one of those places and you have all your benefits. But the fact of the matter is that there are millions of people that call Texas home that don't have an employer that's covering their health care, and they're on the exchanges, and they need to be able to have affordable health care so they can keep their small business afloat, so they can keep their kids insured while they're trying to get through school. And we need to look out for those individuals. So our goal was never to not fund the ACA and those enhanced tax credits. We were always going to do that. It just didn't happen in that particular vehicle.
And because everything that I've read was this was supposed to be temporary, it was COVID, get people through COVID. And so to hear you say that the intent was to keep this, was to make it permanent, that's what I don't understand, I guess.
I don't, again, it's hard for me to look back at 2022, but, leaving Americans on the hook for increased premiums was never something that me or anyone else that has really made healthcare a priority since being a member of Congress was going to let that stand. I mean, we need to help. I mean, care insurance is expensive, and we need to get this right. Nothing is easy about healthcare at all, but we're going to keep fighting for these, and that's something that was always, that has always been a priority for Democrats, is to make sure that people have affordable health care.
What do you make of the Republicans' criticism that all this money goes to insurance companies and not the people? And President Trump is now suggested, well, why not send the payments directly to the people who are on the Affordable Care Act? What do you say to that?
Again, I don't trust President Trump or the Republicans to do anything that's going to directly help the American people. To me, it seems like they're only interested in helping billionaires. And so, it's hard for me to believe that the same people that are about to kick people off of Medicaid, to the point that they're so concerned about the big ugly bill that they're not enacting the bill until after election day. The big ugly bill could be kicked in now. There's a reason why they decided not to enact it, and it's because it's going to be detrimental when it comes to people's health care. And now we're supposed to think that they're going to give people enough money to cover their health care insurance. I'm just not buying it. I haven't seen, again, any details or their plan, but when it comes to actually doing something to help people, I don't believe them. And when have Republicans not been in the back pocket of the health insurance companies?
Let me ask you about the election that just took place. Affordability was an issue,
Number
and
one.
I'm wondering, how do Democrats capitalize on this in the year ahead of the midterm elections?
Yeah, I mean that has to be our closing argument. This entire election cycle, I believe, is going to really hinge around affordability. The Trump tariff taxes have been devastating to the economy, and people are going to want to know, how are we going to fix the mess that Trump has created with his tariff taxes. What are we going to do about immigration? Immigration plays a huge part in our economy. I think Texans understand that better than anyone. What are we going to do to make things more affordable, like insurance, so people can have more discretionary income to be able to save for a home or put a little money away in case of an emergency? And so all of those issues around the economy are going to be the number one issue. And if you look at the margin in which Spanberger won by, and you look at the margin at which Mikey Sherrill won by, people thought that she was going to win by maybe a couple of points, and she ended up winning by double digits. I think that we're going to have an amazing closing message. The important thing is going to be for Democrats is that we actually do stay on message.
And I have to ask you about the fact that here we are, the filing period has started,
Yep.
and there is still no decision by the three-judge panel at federal court in El Paso on whether
Yeah.
they're going to keep, uphold, or throw out these new congressional maps that were approved by the Republicans at the Texas legislature.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this. What is your reaction to this?
What a mess that Greg Abbott created on behalf of Donald Trump. And I will tell you that I hate being in this situation. I know that everyone that's out there filing for office, for various offices, hate to be put in this situation. I'll also remind everyone, too, that in 2011, I had filed for reelection in the state legislature. I represent District 95 here in Tarrant County. I had filed for reelection, and the day before Thanksgiving, I received a call saying that the three-judge panel was going to throw out the congressional map. If you remember, in 2011, Roger Williams was supposed to be the representative for District 33. And the day before Thanksgiving, they tossed that district out because it violated the Voting Rights Act, just like this map does. And so I think that we're going to prevail, but we may have another couple of weeks. I know firsthand how long this process can take.
Is it surprising you that the judges haven't made a ruling yet?
No, it does not surprise me because I've lived through this before. Our primaries were actually moved. The federal elections in 2012 were actually moved to May 31st. Your viewers probably remember that the lieutenant governor of Texas, David Dewhurst, he was supposed to be in the Senate, and that extra time is what Ted Cruz needed in order to beat him in the primary. And so, if you're John Cornyn, especially, you're probably hoping that this primary happens sooner rather than later, because we've seen how devastating these delayed primaries can be, especially on the Republican side, as we saw in 2012. It really does change the math, and it puts something different in the air, particularly on the Republican side.
Last question. If the map is upheld, and obviously it's going to go to the Supreme Court and then we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. But if the maps are upheld, let's just say,
We have to see what happens at that time. Believe that I'm running for reelection to Congress. That is what I plan on doing, and so I think I'm in good shape. I think that I will be a member of Congress in 2027, and that the Speaker of the House will be Hakeem Jeffries, and I'll have the honor and pleasure of serving under that Congress with my classmate Hakeem Jeffries, and that he'll be the Speaker of the House. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
and
I will be in Congress next Congress. I'm very confident of that.
and you'll still have to decide which district to run in, right? Or is it going to be 33 no matter what?
We will see what everything looks like when all the chips fall. I don't want to speak until I see the final results. That's something that I've learned over the years. Whether you're talking about a vote on a particular piece of legislation or anything, is that you want to kind of wait until the dust settles a little bit. And so I will definitely have an answer for everybody when the dust settles. I think that we all will, because I think that everyone, Democrats and Republicans for that matter, are really waiting on pins and needles to see how this thing is going to shake out.
We will leave it there. Democratic Congressman Marc Veasey of Fort Worth. Thank you as always. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jack.